So my name's Cliff Hill. I'm from Ectron. We're sponsoring the Content Theatre at the Digital Marketing Show, so welcome. Hope you have a great day. Ectron provide a web content management and customer experience platform as used by these brands and many others. So if you're interested in that side of the technology part of content, please come and see us at the back here. Anyway, the first session today, I'd like to introduce Nichola Stott from the Media Flow. She's going to be talking about introduction to content strategy, a live demonstration, look at what to take into consideration when planning your content strategy.
Hi everybody, can everybody hear me? Everyone at the back, can you hear me okay? Excellent. Okay, so I prepared for today imagining that most of us would be marketers, if not working in online, maybe working in kind of bricks to mortar sectors and looking to get into online marketing, or maybe some of you might have your own small business and you're looking to educate yourselves around all facets of digital marketing. So I'm hoping that would be quite relevant to you. Unfortunately, I won't be able to accommodate everyone, so bear with me. We're going to talk today about digital content strategy and most importantly about how we can plan and how we can think like publishers rather than just throwing out blog posts and hoping something will catch fire, because that doesn't work. So just a little bit about me. This is my company, the Media Flow. We're a digital agency. I founded the business myself, having worked in online marketing for years and years and years, but most previously at Yahoo, where I was head of search UK at a lesser known search engine. I write for a couple of blogs, SEO Chicks, speak at conferences, as you can see. And we're also quite well known for our hreflang sitemap tool for the techies amongst you. And earlier this year we won a couple of awards, Best Use of Search Retail. So that's all about us. Now let's talk more about retail, and particularly online retail. I thought that would be quite a good channel to focus on, reason being if we don't work in retail or online retail, everybody here I'm sure has bought something from Amazon at some time. So we all get the concept. And the principles of marketing in the retail channel also apply for marketing a charity or marketing in the automotive. So good practice is good practice is good practice. So why the hell is that number there? 6.9 billion, that's from the Office of National Statistics. They do like a monthly bulletin on key kind of growth areas and that sort of thing. So these are October stats, and that's the total spend in the retail channel in Great Britain. And what I find quite surprising is 10.5% of that, so 690 million of that spend, was online. And if you think that actually fuel is part of that, that's actually more of a sizable chunk than you'd think. So I think we're already sold about the importance of being online anyway. That's not why you're here. So instead I want to talk a little bit more about content, particularly different types of content, and planning all of that. And as marketers, most of you here will already be marketers, and you'll be familiar with kind of the classic models of marketing and different types of customers. But the important thing is to understand the conversion process and why different content is needed at different stages of the conversion process. So starting from the top, obviously we've got our customers. These are the people that we like and we love and we take care of because they've bought our product. And the types of content that these people need are user guides or aftercare, something to make them feel special and help them retain the strength of their decision to buy your product. So classical kind of marketing, that's the decision end of the purchase funnel, if you like. And then we've got, just before that, the waverer, the person that's about to buy. They're not sure whether they're going to buy from Amazon or Play.com or wherever it might be, but they're almost there. And they need a different kind of content. They need content that's going to make them commit to buy. So that's the intent stage of the purchase funnel. And to my mind, the area that I'm a little bit more interested in myself, because I think it's a bit more challenging, are the next two stages, the broader end of what is once the purchase funnel. And these are our researchers, so people that will be looking for things like reputation content. Why should I buy this product from you as opposed to you? Will that experience be better here or there? Which hotel am I going to stay in near Excel? Is that one awful and that one's quite nice? So I need to be able to present and create content that educates at that early stage. And that's the consideration stage of the purchase funnel. And right at the bottom, the most interesting end of the funnel, if you like, our discoverer. So somebody that might not even know about our product. It's just been invented, or they may never have heard of our brand and no idea why to buy it from our site as opposed to somebody else's. And this content is actually possibly the most important kind of content, and it tends to be quite different to the aftercare guides that we might produce for our customers. And this is your chance, really, to actually bring people into that funnel. And this is the awareness stage, of course. Now, the reason that digital marketing is a little bit more complex than traditional, and I'm not down with this kind of high street is dead idea. I'm sure the high street, well, it is still alive in many ways, but things have changed, and that's what always happens. But if we think about how we used to attract people pre-internet, it would be the shop window. It would be the footfall that occurs walking down a high street, and, oh, that looks nice. What is that? What's that product? I'm enticed to go in. Of course, that doesn't exist online, and this is the key difference and why that discovery content is so important, because it's Facebook, it's social media. That's your chance to drag people into your shop, and that's where they're going to discover you if they're not already aware of your brand. But even more complicated now, this idea of a classical marketing purchase funnel is kind of skewed by the fact that we've got a number of different complexities to this, and the purchase funnel I like to think of as more of a matrix, to be honest. So if we think right at the awareness stage, starting from the top, these are all the people that have never heard of us. They might come into contact with our content on another site. Somebody might share a really cute kind of Facebook app that makes them aware of who we are, and then they become brand aware, and they might consider us 6 months down the line when they come to think about buying product X. And then further down the line towards the decision stage, we might have more direct forms of exposure, so adverts perhaps, like paid search or organic search. And the purchase stage kind of occurring at the organic search or the advertising types of content. What I haven't done here, because it would have just made this slide too complicated, is I haven't added in the additional dimension of content type, so media type, be it video, application, be it flat text, HTML, whatever. So the purchase funnel is now a matrix. It's not as simple as get a load of people in and funnel them down to buy. We're reaching out across different types of platform and media. And that makes the next points so much more important, because in order to get any real data and real learning and real understanding out of this, we've got to track people wherever they go online and measure accordingly. And we can do that using multi-channel funnel attribution in Google Analytics, so we can see what role which channel plays at the ultimate point of conversion. So was it a display ad that first caught somebody's attention, or was it a blog post referral from another media? And what role, what percentage weighting did that have on the ultimate decision to buy, which came from a paid search advert? So it's not as complex as a single-click win. Also looking at attribution modelling according to that data and iterating on what we learn, and that can kind of govern a little bit around what types of content work well on which platforms to then allow us to plan accordingly. And one of the good things about search as a channel, and the reason I'm talking about search, is because search is possibly one of the only channels where or maybe email, but search is one of the only channels where a conversion often can start with a search and end with a search, which means we can use that data to extrapolate and get a sense of how people are buying our product and what decisions are they going through and what questions do they have before they commit. And to do that, we need to think about the query types and the concern types and the different stages of purchase. And that might sound quite complex, but actually there are only 4 types of search query ever end of. And some of you might have heard of that, but these 4 types of search query are informational, transactional, navigational, and connectivity. To explain them, informational searches is a search where the intent is a request for information. So if I put something in like trees, it's an informational search. Most searches kind of fall in that category, to be honest. Transactional searches, not in this sense meaning a physical exchange of, digital exchange of monetary compensation, but a transaction in the sense of I put something into this search bar, I want something out. So it might be buy tree in garden centre, or it might be download a screensaver. It's the kind of the difference being that I want something back for my effort. So that's the transactional element to that. And the next stage, navigational, those types of searches are when we want the search engine to take us where we want to go. So I type in Expedia because I want to book a holiday. I'm already sold. I've used Expedia before. So I type in Expedia to take me to the Expedia website. That's a navigational search. So if you're looking at your own site, you'd call that a brand search. But from a kind of macro perspective, that's technically known as a navigational search. And connectivity searches, they're more for the technical amongst us. They're not that technical, and I would advise you to learn how to use advanced query operators. And I've got some examples here to show you. And connectivity queries tell us data about how pages on the web and documents on the web are related to each other. And that's a goldmine for competitor spying, for all sorts of data gathering and understanding what content other people have. And I'll show you some examples a little bit later. But to just make that a little bit more real. So let's say I've moved to the country and I really need some wellies, or I need something to keep my feet dry. So my first informational query would be something like waterproof boots. And I'll get some results, I'll start reading around and then start thinking, okay, I'm going to buy these wellies online. That's my transactional query. And then the third stage, I know I've seen a website, I was going to get them, but then the dog ran in and knocked the laptop on the floor. So I come back again later and I type in Welly Warehouse because that's the site I was ready to buy from. So kind of classic 3 stages down that purchase matrix, and then I'm going to buy my wellies. So just to show you that, to make it a little bit more real. So comfortable Wellington boots, best quality Wellington boots, blah, 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 blah. Maybe I decide on a brand of boots that I want. So the task for us, or the challenge, is that we need to create content that speaks to absolutely every single one of those stages, that's going to attract people in before they know who the hell you are. Again, this is made a little bit more difficult, thanks Google. Is everybody aware of the not provided issue? Okay, some people are, some aren't. I'll just explain. So previously, we used to be able to get, looking at different analytics packages or Google Analytics or Omniture or whatever you use, you could get really good data back about what query somebody had put in to get to your website. But for various reasons, most of the search engines, Google and now Yahoo, have stopped passing on this referral data. So we don't know what words people used to get us to the site. But that's not such a problem after all. It's not a big deal, to be honest, because there's all sorts of things we can do to work out what people are thinking without relying on what they've said. And this is where our connectivity queries come in. And as I say, I would really advise you to get to grips with using connectivity queries. Just if you search Google for advanced query operators, you'll find all sorts of nice, helpful lists of AQOs that you can use to help you really conduct a good research process. And I think it makes more sense if I show you these, but I'm just going to skip on a little bit and talk about the start. So this is the process that we use at my company to plan our different clients. And so obviously, again, another layer of complexity, different content strategies for different clients, and then, wow, that's a lot of stuff to do. So first we start off by defining the customer groups. So who's going to buy the wellies in this case? What's the purchase decision? Is it the young, trendy person that's seen pictures of celebrities at Glastonbury and that's who they are? Or is it, a different type of customer group already? We then segment them and we research them and we define them. And if you're working with bricks to mortar businesses, they will already have really good demographic data from offline marketing channels. So that might already be a given. So we understand who they are, what's their motivations. It's classic demographics, really. But then the important bit is working out, where do they hang out online? Where do they go? Where do they ask for peer opinion? Is it Facebook? Is it somewhere else? So to show you an example, customer group 1 of Wellington Company would be outdoorsy mum, let's say. Living somewhere countryside-ish, wants something to wear to walk the kids to school, so doesn't look too unsightly, taking the Labradors out of a weekend, that sort of thing. So, you know, we can get a feel for what this person is like and where they might want to go online when they ever get some free time. So, Mumsnet, of course, would be premium target for us. So I'd start off with my macro, my kind of top-end query, and I would use site:/mumsnet.com wellies. So what that is saying is, Google, tell me every time someone has said wellies on mumsnet.com. So when I get my results, I can see things like, you know, women talking to each other and saying, what brand should I get? What colour should I choose? Because that's important. All sorts of different things. Are they worth the money? This is what your customers are kind of chatting to each other about. This is what keeps them awake at night. Or a little bit more useful, if you're drilling through a forum to do your research process, you can use all-in URL, because for every forum, if I start a thread on a forum, that creates a new URL. So if the actual topic of my forum post is about this subject, these are going to be much more finite types of results. So if I do all-in URL, mumsnet.com hunter wellies, I can get even more rich data from that. And this is my number one favourite way to nick your competitors' content. You can use file type :PDF. So I could go and search, in this case I'm searching the web, but I could go and search John Lewis. I could put in the John Lewis URL, file type PDF, and scrape all their PDFs and download the lot, and then I've got their entire kind of, you know, user manuals and all sorts of things. So that's a fantastic way to grab all of your competitor content and do some really good research. Fave one. So then, coming back to our outdoorsy mum, our demographic for our hypothetical product, what questions do we discover that are coming to this person at the start of the purchase matrix? So it's things like value for money. How do they fit? What do they feel like? Are they a bit tight, or, you know, do they come in red? So now that we know these concerns are genuine, we can start to create content for it. So I've done a hypothetical content example and imagining something like a nice kind of app that I'd like people to share on Facebook. So in this example, a nice interactive colour swatch. And what I could do is I could mouse over the colour that I really like as a user, as a reader, and say, okay, does it come in red? And fantastic, they've got two different styles that come in fire engine red. And then I can mouse over the one that I want, and then I've got a little result page that tells me how Dawn, our style editor at Hunter, would suggest to wear it, and what does it say about my personality? What kind of person am I? What colours can I wear to go with my red wellies? And then, of course, I've got my share buttons at the bottom, so I could then share that around and say to my friends, I'm red, I'm like really creative and stuff, what are you? And, you know, so that then makes it a little bit gamey, and everybody would like to know things about themselves. It's kind of ego-centric as well. So we share that around with our friends, and that kind of has broader appeal. So that's just a little kind of hypothetical model of a whole content process from start to finish, which is great, but how do you kind of plan and scale that? Because, of course, if we've got a huge product, huge ranges of products, how do we start to get some strategy behind that? I must have been starving when I did this presentation. I don't know what's going on with all the cakes and sweets, but anyway. So step one, think like a publisher. So we need an editorial calendar. And starting off with that blank calendar, you need to mark in all the things about what are our company stories, when are we releasing all of these different products, get them in first, that's easy. Next thing is all your kind of public and religious holidays. Be culturally sensitive, think about different holidays in different sectors, you must, your audience could be anybody. And school holidays as well, particularly, I mean, you know, if your product is something that is particularly aimed at mums, then it's something to bear in mind that they may not be online that much during the summer holidays. So not the best time to launch your content. And again, you can't plan for this, but just being aware and listening out for other external events. So not things like, I mean, things like X Factor starting, depending on who you are or who your customer is, producing a piece of content before a major television event starts can actually work really well. Sometimes that just doesn't have a natural application in certain demographics, but I thought I'd mention it. Next stage would be to get some more meaningful data out of our keyword searches. So, when we did the all-in URL and Hunter Wellies, we're kind of scraping sites to find out conversations. We can then put those seed terms, what colour wellies, how young do they start, or that sort of thing. And I can put where to keep my wellies, how to clean wellies, things like that. I can put them into Google, change the name all the time, Google Keyword Planner tool, I think it is now. And I can put a few seed terms in, and I can get suggestions out. So bear in mind, these are the idea behind this tool is that you will then pay for PPC advertising, so not all of these terms are going to be useful. Some of them will be blindingly obvious, but you can get some gems in there, like who'd have thought Diamante wellies is a thing, and people are searching for Diamante wellies. So again, what would you do? I would create some kind of cutesy little app where you can put your initials in, and it will decorate a pair of wellies with a kind of monogrammed swish with your initial in, and then you can send it to your other half and say, get me these for Valentine's Day. So all of these kind of examples can be uncovered. Other tools we've got available are social listening tools. So rather than us going in and requesting data from the internet, there are various tools that you can use. As some examples of such that will actually do that actively for us. So we can put in criteria, we can use keywords, or we could use our own brand name or our competitor brand name or any combination of the above, and we'll be alerted as to when people are talking about my product or my keyword online, either through tweets or on blogs or wherever it may be. Some of these tools here, I think one of them is free. Social Mention is free. Most offer free trials. Some of the more powerful ones are quite expensive, but they're also sentiment analysis tools, although I don't think we're really there yet in terms of true IA and really having accurate sentiment analysis, but still, that's the next stage, but just so you're aware. So essentially, we're talking about collating data on product themes and looking as to what user questions exist, searching queries around that, and combining that with any key dates and any external dates to create, or put simply, to create an editorial calendar for your content strategy. So in summary, don't forget it's now a purchase matrix. It's more complex than a purchase funnel, so we need to accommodate that accordingly. And we've got to consider media and platform types. Just throwing out text blog post after text blog post is not going to set the world on fire. We need to think about different types of content and which kind of content works well across different platforms. And in order to make that efficient, we need to plan to scale it from the get-go. And that's it. Hopefully you'll have some questions. Hello. Do you know what? Sorry, it's really quiet. Is there a microphone for questions? Do fine. Dance. Just, yeah. Are you sure? So with the question, do I think a blog is a good idea for a transactional website? So having a blog on the site itself, absolutely. The thing about a website is if I go to a transactional website, an e-commerce website, I go there because I want to buy something. I don't go there because I want to read their blog. However, it's a discovery channel. So what might happen is I might search for something, then find a result that happens to be on their blog section, and then that's what gets me in. So I wouldn't worry about taking footfall away from the commerce channels of the site. I think it's an attraction mechanism rather than a conversion mechanism. Yeah, thanks.
Any other questions?
Hello.
Hiya.
Hi. I just arrived, but you were talking about content strategy, right?
That's right, yeah.
But you were applying it to e-commerce, basically, the principle of selling a product online.
That's the, yeah, we were
Okay.
looking at content strategy using
So-
the retail channel as an example.
So my question is what if you're selling a service online?
It's exactly the same principles. You can,
Okay.
The principles are the same for research and planning.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's my question.
Is it like a SaaS or something like that?
It's yes, it is. So
Yeah.
trying to acquire the data that you're talking about, if it's not registered in sort of a purchase manner on a website, it's more done through like a client building base. So it's more harder to sort of register, that information, isn't it? And
It
really-
is. It is, yeah.
And building a content strategy around that. That was really how would you go about doing that? That was my question, really.
Some of the principles are the same. So some of the research stages, you're trying to uncover what your potential service customers, what are their buying kind of criteria. Some principles are the same, but the media sources that you go to are often quite narrower. So you'd be looking at technical forums, or can you tell me the product here? Is that
It's post-production for television, film. It's
yeah? So it's digital. Is it software for editing and that sort of
it's
thing?
like a service. Yeah, it's a service. Grading, making things look pretty, basically. So it's freelance. Anyway, that's the sort of stuff. So
Okay, so it's still, although it's a technical sector, your customers are still normal human beings. So again, it's just demographic profile and thinking, who would be a core customer group for that service? Would it be kind of 20-somethings working in digital film production, and where do they go online? Are they spending time on Stack Overflow? Are they spending time reading Mashable? It's working out where they go online and then applying the same principles. There are some additional complexities, and also offline data is very, very useful in like SaaS and IaaS channels, and we do work for a couple of clients in those sectors, so we can have a chat at the end if you want. Yeah, no worries. Okay. Any more questions?
Okay, well, you've got
Okay.
Nichola's details there. Anything else, just drop her a line. Thank you very much.
Oh, the slides are on SlideShare now if anybody wants to have a look. Okay.